to the Mind of Basketball podcast, also known as M.O.B. podcast, episode 137.
You're 37.
137. I am Evan.
I'm Ja.
And it's our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, analyze players and teams from the previous games for the previous day. I guess the regular season finale of the podcast, as last night was the final day of the regular season, with a lot of concluding games, everything is finally set in stone for the playoffs. Well, actually, no, for the play-in. Not yet for the playoffs, but for the play-in, and for the top six of the conferences. It was a big day last night. It's a big day in the basketball world. A lot of big wins from teams, Also, some other news that's not within the games that we'll get to later. But yeah, it was a fun night of basketball. It was a fun night of basketball. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, it shall.
It shall?
I mean, yes, it was.
Okay. But how are you doing this Monday after the regular season?
I was cooling, just putting some ice on my eye.
Yeah, allergy season.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I understand your pain. I used to go through that for years.
Well, yeah, this is the perks of living, right? The cost of living. But pain is beauty, Yep. And beauty is pain.
Yep. A lot of teams went through pain last night. Definitely the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yes, they did.
So why don't we just start off with that? Because the Memphis Grizzlies had a tough task ahead of them. The 9th seed of the Western Conference going against the 8th seed Golden State Warriors. And almost like I said last night, the Grizzlies might have a better roster. Actually, I think they do have a better roster than the Warriors. Mm-hmm. But the Memphis Grizzlies, they don't have Stephen Curry. And boy, did that show last night. Because Stephen Curry, regular season finale, winner takes 8th seed. And it's a big monumental because, the 8th seed only got to win one game to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
By the 9th seed, they got to win 2. So it was big. It was big. And Curry came to play. He came to play in stunning fashion. I mean, what else can you say? If that performance didn't really hammer home his reasoning and his debate that he should be MVP, I don't know what it is. And whether I think he should be MVP or not is a different discussion. But that performance last night and everything that he's doing of the past month for this Warriors team to put them in this position, that man right there has been absolutely incredible. I can't really see him because of the light, but it's been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just record-breaker performances, memorable performances. He's just really been doing it all. He's been doing it all.
Wardell. Oh my gosh, Mr. Wardell, Steph Curry II. What much can we say about you?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you forgot to mention, just needed 4 points just to become the scoring champ. The dude ended up putting for 43.
No, he had 46. He's the scoring champ.
Yes, he is the scoring champ.
Yeah, scoring champ officially.
He solidified that. He solidified that.
Yeah, beating out Bradley Beal.
Yeah,
close tight race.
Yep.
Steph Curry will go down as the 2020-2021 scoring champion.
Yeah, but man, just putting on a show, putting that Warriors team on his back and carrying them all the way to okay, let me not say the promised land, but somewhere in the good progression land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was remarkable. It really was remarkable. Yeah. I mean, to say the least.
And Wardell gets a lot of love.
You just want to say his real name.
Wardell.
Yep, that's really his name. Well, despite his performance, this Grizzlies team, they don't have no quit. And they were down for a lot of that game, especially off of the Warriors' big run in that third quarter.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was a big game for them too. They need to come out to play.
Yes.
In the beginning, they got it. They was coming out to play, but somewhere in that middle part, which is the second and third quarter, the Warriors really got it going.
Yeah.
Then, towards the end and towards the fourth quarter, that's when the Grizzlies finally started to pick it up, started to get back into this game.
Yeah.
And it became really competitive. I mean, you want to talk about one-eyed bandit. You want to talk about
You want to talk about who? Go on.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
He got distracted.
You want to talk about Jonas Valanciunas, who had himself a big night. Who's been playing really well for the Grizzlies this entire year. We've been talking about him over the past. Ja didn't have the best scoring night, but he did the best that he can. The Warriors kind of did a good job of trying their best to contain him. He is their leader. He is their best player, but he did end up making some plays for this Grizzlies team. Also, the rest of the starters, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, JJJ. Even though it was a little bit of a struggle in portions of this game, they finally got it going, got it together. Then the Warriors, late in that fourth quarter, and as we just mentioned, Stephen Curry with back-to-back threes to really nail it home as the Warriors beat the Grizzlies in this big game, thus clinching the 8th seed in the Western Conference. And we'll play, let's wait until later to see who they'll play in the play-in. But thoughts?
Just like what you said, Memphis showing what they always do, that grit and grind mentality of that whole Memphis organization. They continue to fight and claw their way back. But again, even though they got close and there was a point where they did take the lead, Stephen Curry made those, just like what you said, those two big threes. And then after that final three to basically dagger the game, he did his Baron Davis impression. So.
Oh, yeah. We believe Warriors. We believe Warriors. Yep. And maybe. I mean, the 8th seed. You know what happens? Do we believe Warriors? Shocking upset against the Dallas Mavericks in 07.
07,
in 07. And we'll see what happens with this Warriors team. But first, they got to beat the 7th seed, which, as we found out last night, due to the Portland Trailblazers win against the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets, they stopped. They arrested in that second half.
Yeah.
The Nuggets did.
Yeah.
So the Blazers beat the Nuggets, thus clinching playoff berth. And despite this team beating the Pelicans, unfortunately, might be unfortunate for other teams, but the defending champions, Los Angeles Lakers, will, as you mentioned, play inbound and are the 7th seed and will go on to face the Golden State Warriors in the play-in game. NBA loving that.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. It's like whenever LeBron wants to escape trying to face Curry, it's just like,
escape.
It always it's like he always have to find a way. They always have to find a way to put those two together, huh?
All I gotta say is,
escape was a bad term to use. I didn't mean escape, but never.
Well, let's go on with it. I know that's not what you meant though, but let's just say Curry might have more nightmares on those finals than LeBron does.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, that's a fact. What the hell?
Despite Curry beating him 4 times in those finals, right? 4 times? 3 times. 3 times, sorry. 3 times in those finals. But that should be a fun matchup.
Yeah.
Be a fun matchup. The Lakers finally look like they're healthy again. The Warriors caught fire. Curry is on fire. And it's only one game, folks. Only one game. But we won't give our predictions. Not now, at least, about that game. Mention the Blazers not playing bound. Aren't you excited? Not playing bound. Now, yeah. I don't know. They are the 6th seed.
They are the 6th seed. Okay. So, did I get my wish at least since Denver lost?
What wish? Oh, that they didn't. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. The Blazers aren't even playing. That's your dark horse, right? Have a better chance.
No, I don't see him. Let me tell you something. You know, it's embarrassing when a team that was last in the conference or near the bottom of the conference overtook you for the best record. That's embarrassing. The Mavericks overtook them after having a horrible first half of the season.
Yeah, the Mavericks were really struggling, but they got it together.
I'm not giving the Blazers no love for that.
Well, give the Dallas credit. They had a awful defense. I'm talking about it was terrible. And even though they haven't gotten a good defense now, they have turned into a bend but don't break defense. Their defense can still be bad, but as long as they can keep it close and get key stops when it matters, they win. They also have somebody of the name Luka Doncic. I don't know if you heard of him, but yeah, he's but he's a superstar. And when you have him, I mean, you got to increase your chances.
Yeah,
at a very high level to win games. So you got to give Dallas credit for that.
Well, yeah, when you've been in the spotlight since the age of 10, then yeah.
Yep. Yeah, has been in that spotlight. But yeah, 5th seed Dallas, 6th seed Portland, 7th seed defending champions Lakers. Well, also since we're staying in that West, Denver lost, Clippers lost, so they both remain the same. The Denver Nuggets are the 3rd seed, and the Clippers are the 4th seed going into the playoffs. You seem upset about that.
Oh my gosh, I really wanted to see that matchup so badly.
Well, hey, it's still a good matchup.
No, it's not fun. There's no context behind it. There's no personal story behind it. Like, I like build-ups. I like things to build up this matchup. With the Blazers being the 6th seed, they facing the Nuggets. Like, there's no. The only history I remember is 2019. And that was even even though that was a great series.
Well, thinking about too much about the history. Look at the talent on both sides of the floor.
Okay, the talent's cute. Yeah, it could be cute. Yeah, sure. But it's not better than no Cancun. Bro. No, you boys
all right.
Chubbs running away from the grind.
I understand. Well, let's be honest. I think that matchup would have been one-sided. Being honest. Well, I'm being honest. I think that matchup would have been one-sided.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. Comparing the talent of the teams and stuff like that, and how they are on both ends of the floor. Yeah, you're right. But shoot, I want to see Dame do something to them. I don't care how much they.
But look at the matchup now. Well, actually, into ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about the matchup a little later. But I think there's still this history in that Clippers game too. What happened last year?
Oh yeah.
Yes, think about that. Think about the history there. And what would have happened if a certain player was playing, didn't get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
especially since what happened in the second round. But yeah, just think about that. You know, there's history there, and it's talent on all sides of the ball. So
I guess I'll try to enjoy it the best I can.
yeah, well, that's the Western Conference. So how about actually before we go to the East, that is not the Western Conference. Did I forget? Utah Jazz with their win against the Kings, despite the Suns' um crazy win against the Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs always lose like that some way somehow. It's kind of embarrassing. But the Jazz, their win against the Sacramento basketball team, my mistake, have officially clinched not only the number one seed in the Western Conference, but the best record in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to Utah, especially since for a month they haven't been playing with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
They have held on to this and maintained it, even though the Suns passed them for a little bit. They've got out in front again, and they maintained it and kept it long enough to have the best record in the league. That's impressive.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is impressive.
it's impressive, man, and that's just a testament to how well-rounded the team is from every important basketball aspect, from offense to defense, rebounding, playmaking, shooting, like
Mm-hmm.
personnel, coaching, players knowing
Yes.
their roles and knowing their strengths and weaknesses. It just shows how well-rounded of a team they are.
Yep. Yeah. So you gotta give the Jazz credit for that. And yeah, with that out the way, now that is the Western Conference. We'll come back to their playoff matchups um later on this podcast. Going to the East, and just like we had the eighth and the ninth matchup in the West, we go to the eighth and the ninth matchup in the East. A big game. The Washington Wizards up against Charlotte Hornets, and Bradley Beal returned for this game. Yeah, he returned. He returned, and he helped out this Wizards team a lot. He really did. A little bit of a slow start for him. Actually, a little bit of a slow start for this Wizards team. The Hornets kind of putting it on them.
Embarrassing them. Embarrassing them.
Well, what's the problem? What was embarrassing? The Hornets are a great team. I really feel like the Hornets. Um, well, actually, I'll talk about it after we review this game in terms of the Hornets. But
Yeah. Um, the way that they were just scoring on the Wizards, they had no answer, and just being down by that big, it was just like it had to be embarrassing for the Wizards. They had to touch themselves just to feel like if they were alive because they looked dead.
yeah, yeah, they look dead. They looked dead for a minute. Um, it was like they looked dead in that first half. I mean, first half, no, looked dead in the first quarter.
Mhm.
Got some life up in the second half. Went back to that in the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter hit, and they said, "You know what? You know who said? You know what? Come on, man. I'm Mr. Triple Double. Let's get it." Russell Westbrook
Yep.
had himself a big night, and he finally woke up the team, and they finally got alive. Him, Bradley Beal also as well, and they finally got it going. They finally kept it pushing, kept it pushing. I mean, it was big shots by the Wizards, really big shots to get them back into this game, and then it was back and forth for a little bit. It was back and forth, and the Wizards they were able to make the biggest shots.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal,
Yeah.
so they're gonna make the biggest shots. Bradley Beal was attacking and attacking and attacking.
Yeah.
That's what I love to see.
Mhm.
And me just to recall the final few possessions of this game. So it was Bradley Beal made that layup, and then it stayed like that up until they stayed like that, and the Wizards made another shot, and they were up by 3.
Yeah.
And then nothing really happened right after that. I mean, it was, I believe, LaMelo, he missed the 3 to tie the game. And the Wizards, they couldn't, they couldn't hit a shot to like put in the dagger on them, but the Hornets couldn't get the rebound.
Yeah.
I believe that's when Lopez got the rebound. Nonetheless, the Hornets had multiple times to tie this game up. And yes, it ended with Devontae Graham's shot. And, he's hit some big shots in his career. They usually trust him with the ball a lot. And unfortunately for him, unfortunately for the Hornets team, just didn't go down. And Wizards leading the comeback with Bradley Beal, with Russell Westbrook, after a tremendous second half to this regular season, have clinched the 8th seed and will be playing 7th seed Boston Celtics. Let's talk about the Wizards first. What a turnaround. You got to just give them credit for that. What a turnaround they had to this season. I mean, they were laughed at a lot by us. Clowned on them. Their defense, oh my God, was atrocious. It was, we're talking about Dallas defense. Wizards were like that times 2. It was terrible. It was terrible. And I don't know what was going on, especially when you had Bradley Beal. I mean, it was averaging like 35 points at one point.
Yeah, he was scoring the hell out of that boy, tiring himself out.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting the team on his back. Ross, he really, like you always mentioned it, he wasn't being as aggressive as you would like it.
Yeah. And
then second half hit, and they finally started getting some momentum. They finally started getting going. Russell Westbrook finally started getting more aggressive. Now they actually started to win basketball games. They're making big plays down the stretch, getting some key stops. That's all you can ask for. And then Bradley Beal got hurt, and it was a little bit of a bumpy road there. Russell Westbrook still tried his best, still kept them within it a little bit. Then he got back, and then it was just back again. And then they got into the playing game, overtook the Bulls. I mean, of course, the Bulls started struggling really badly, but they got into the playing game, kept that up, won those key games against the Pacers, and then now they're the 8th seed. You gotta give them credit. This big game against the Hornets, that's a big win.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, it's because of one main thing. They found a way to make it work and click together. Like that's important. That's important because as a team, when you're that good, but yet it's like you're just not well acquainted or well adjusted to each other. It takes time and it's hard because you got to go through maturing processes like that. At first half of the season, they wish it never happened. You know what I mean? They wish things went differently or whatsoever, but the process doesn't always work like that sometimes. Sometimes you got to go with a different process. Sometimes you got to go through these moments of losing, hate, and torture before you could basically find your glory. And they found their glory in that second half of the season. They clicked. I feel like the team, like the young guys or not even the young guys, not just the young guys, obviously, the players in general, all the players, they start to become well acquainted and adjusted to, my opinion, Westbrook's game and his play style. And they knew how that could, and they knew the type of team they were. When you look at it, Russ is an athletic guy who's hyper athletic fast.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect fit for this team because majority of guys, when you look at it, they're athletic, they're fast, they're skilled, and they love to get up and run up and down in transition. They didn't, but they just didn't know that yet. They just didn't know that yet, or they knew it, but they just did not know how to find a way. But they finally found a way to make it click, and you can see it worked well for them.
Yeah, the chemistry is a big thing, so you got to give that credit to those role players. You got to give credit to Garrison Matthews, Daniel Gafford, Thomas Bryant, Rui Hachimura, Neto, Danny Avila, even though he got hurt and is out for the rest of the season, unfortunately, in his rookie year. He was playing
Yeah.
good. Wish he would be on the court with them heading into this playing game, but that's just the NBA.
Yeah.
And so you really got to give all those role players credit as well, not just Beal and Russ. Yeah, because chemistry is a big thing, and they finally got that chemistry going. That led to wins.
Exactly.
Yep. Give them credit. Now that the eighth seed, good fight from the Hornets, though. Unfortunately, kind of disappointing. Well, not disappointing in terms of what they did, but in terms of how their season went down.
Yeah.
Because they were a top 5 seed, and then unfortunate things happened with injuries to LaMelo, injuries to Gordon Hayward, who's still out.
Yeah.
So you can't really blame them for that. But win by the Wizards, and now they have faced that man, because unfortunately Jaylen Brown is out. Face Tatum and his Boston Celtics in the play-in game. What? Why you looking?
No,
at
I ain't say anything. I ain't say anything, but I thought you was gonna like transition a little bit into speaking of that team.
Oh, well, you didn't give me any time. Speaking of that team,
I wasn't gonna say anything though. I thought you was gonna go
but you
on.
looking like you a fish out of water. Come on, man. That's some faith.
Yeah, I'm alert, man. I'm alert, baby. I'm alert.
Well, speaking of that team, the Boston Celtics went to the Garden to face the New York Knicks. And if the New York Knicks won this game, they will be the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics not being able to move up or down wisely rested their starters. Smart didn't play. Walker didn't play. Tatum didn't play.
Yeah.
So you would think easy win of my New York Knicks. Nothing to worry about, And for most of this game, there was nothing to worry about. The Knicks really had this. They were up by 21 points at one point. And then I'm focusing on the Hornets Wizards game because that's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking on that. The Knicks, I'm thinking, man, come on, Knicks got it. Let's celebrate. New York, stand up. I look at the score again. It's single digits. I was just thinking, I would be more surprised, but I was like, of course, this is the Knicks. Why would I have any? Why would I have it any other way? This is the Knicks, of course. Of course, a single digits game. Of course, it's a single digits game. The Celtics went on a 15-0 run.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
And got back into this game. The Knicks went cold, and as we mentioned, and we're going to get into more detail when we go over the playoffs, they get cold once their defense gets cold. Because they rely so heavily on their defense. When their defense not going, their offense is not going. And Celtics they just found their rhythm. Those role players just found their rhythm.
Yeah, just like what your man Clash Frazier say, slicing and dicing, right?
Slicing and dicing, that's right.
Slicing and dicing, and like so provocative, because that's what the Celtics was looking like for. Because mind you, just like what you said, the Knicks looked like they were going to run away with it for the majority of this game. And then let me tell you something, that 5 to 7 minute mark in the fourth quarter hit, and I don't know what it was, but the Celtics, they thought they had Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce back on the team for a second because they came alive, man. They came alive and they came out to play. Jabari Parker showing the potential that we knew that we seen a long time ago.
I knew you was gonna mention him. I'm glad you did. That was one thing that I was happy to see, even though it was against the Knicks. Is Jabari Parker, and he had himself a great game last night. He was one of the guys leading the charge for the Celtics team to get back into this game.
Exactly.
It was nice to see him on the court playing some good basketball.
Yeah, you talk about you know I love Jabari. You know I love Jabari. I love talking about him. And again, if injuries never came into the way,
And if
I
Giannis
feel
didn't become Giannis, that's a big part too. Don't do that.
that is a big part. But yeah, man, he was on his way to being a star, a great star.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, like that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the
he had a great
injuries was the main
yeah,
part. Say Giannis jokingly, but the injuries was definitely a main part as to
uh,
why.
exactly.
Yeah.
But but he had a great game.
Mm.
Romeo Langford, he put up buckets. We haven't heard much from him. Taco Fall got blocked, and and I don't know who this dude is, but he came out hooping.
Tremont Waters,
Yeah, Mr. Tremont Waters.
Tremont Waters. Yeah.
He, he was disrespecting your Knicks. He was really trying to embarrass you. You want to talk about stranglers? Man, he was trying to strangle y'all.
Yeah, and I, as a Knicks fan, I was pissed. I was really upset with how this happened, but I knew that the Knicks wasn't going to lose this game.
Yeah,
It wasn't meant to be. It was meant for the Knicks to win this game, no matter what.
yeah.
And that's what happened. I mean, they just hit some shots late. Reggie Bullock, Julius Randle, Noel with big blocks down the stretch. And as a result, Knicks win this game, thus clinching the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference, meaning they will have home court advantage for the first round. And let me just say something to my guys,
Go ahead, I'll give you the floor. You're good.
to my Knicks fans and all that. Listen, this was a exceptional year. This was a great year. Gotta give props to Tom Thibodeau, culture that he's helped build in New York. He's doing a tremendous job. He's doing a tremendous job. Gotta give props to Julius Randle as well. First time All Star in his seventh year. I mean, and look, the sixth player, and it's only the sixth player in NBA history to have, I believe, 24, 10, and 6.
24, 10, and 6.
Let me just check that real quick again. Yep, I was right. Only a sixth player in NBA history to have 24, 10, and 6. Just a remarkable year, All NBA has to be. By him, RJ Barrett, who stepped up even though he's been struggling as of recent late past few games. But overall this season, much improvement compared to last season. Manuel quickly, still the draft. Nick Scott. Um, the shooters we have, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, who steps up, Derrick Rose that we got off trade. It's been just a great addition, showing flashes of his past. Better leadership of him and Taj Gibson as well. Shot blocking of Nerlens well. This has just been an absolute tremendous season for the Knicks, overachieving Knicks because nobody expected the Knicks to be this far. I mean, 10 games over 500, the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference. Nobody expected this. Nobody saw this. No
Exactly.
matter what happens in the playoffs, we weren't supposed to be here. The Knicks weren't supposed to be here. The Knicks
Exactly.
overachieved, they overexcelled, and they have a lot of potential and they can improve for the next few seasons to come.
Yeah. And again, I would jokingly say it's because Kyrie and KD basically put that motivation in them. But let's be honest. This year it did not seem like a toxic culture around at all.
Oh.
And we know that Cheer Knicks has a history of having that toxic culture. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't look like that. And I feel like you named it already, but the main reason to all of this change and this major and improvement has been Tom Thibodeau. He basically came in there. He enforced the rules. He's an old school, hard nosed coach, and
Mm-hmm.
you can see this the discipline that this Knicks team have. And again, they're on the East Coast, and we know most of these East Coast teams are defensive, and that's the mantra of this Knicks team historically, especially defense, defense, defense. Like the offense will flow through their defense. And that's what he basically done. He's one of the best defensive coaches, and he was able to prove how important defense is in the game of basketball. Probably not more important than scoring a bucket, but it is important that you play defense because you got to stop others from scoring buckets for sure.
We can have that debate another time. But yeah, Tom Thibodeau leading this Knicks team to one of the best, arguably the best defensive team in the league, especially in an era where it is about high scoring and getting buckets. And yet you watch the Knicks game and the final score would be like 95 to 100. Like it's ridiculous. Exactly. Or 95 to 89. Exactly. He's just been absolutely sensational for this Knicks team. And like I said, the Knicks overachieved, and they're the 4th seed, and will have home court in the first round against the Atlanta Hawks, who won their game in a blowout in Houston. The Atlanta Hawks, where the Knicks have overachieved, they just flipped the whole script around in their season.
Yeah.
In terms of just having Lloyd Pierce to getting Nate McMillan. And I feel like a lot of people are underrating this Hawks team. They are very good. And they go on high spurts with the talent they have. Lou Williams, Trae Young, Bogdanovich, Gallinari.
Yeah.
Rebounding and defensive stalwart of Clint Capella cannot go unnoticed. So, and like I said, Nate McMillan, playoff coach, leading this Hawks team to the playoffs. It's a remarkable year for them as well.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, this Hawks team, they got Nick McMillan. I say I said his name correctly, right? They got Coach Nate, and things turned around for them. Things really turned around big time for them.
You want to chew first, brother?
No, I'm good. I could chew and talk.
We can hear you. We can hear that.
Yeah, I'm a pro. But
sometimes I just think he was like raised in the woods or something.
Well, you know what to say, who's come out at night. Well, yeah. What? Okay, skip over that. Skip over that.
Yeah, I could have continued with that, but it could have went bad. So continue on with the Hawks.
But yeah, man, they got Coach Nate, and they saw things. They start to see that potential that we always seen in them since the beginning of the season, or ain't even before. Ever since they drafted Trae Young and stuff like that, like we start to see it all come to fruition. And that's no disrespect to Lloyd Pierce. He was the foundation for helping out these young guys. Nate McMillan was the thing that took him over the hump.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Once again, Trae Young had a great year. John Collins continues to show the amazement, improvement and skill that he is as a big. Clint Capella is finally getting his stride after being traded off the Rockets because they talked about they didn't want a big man because they were trying to fit the analytics. You talk about all this. You talk about Gallinari being a great vet. Bogdanovich coming in on board after looking for a bigger role and doing these kind of things, having an important key role here. It's just amazing how this Hawks team was able to do what they did.
Yep. They deserve a lot of praise and a lot of credit for what the Hawks have done this season. But let's not talk too much because we still got a few more stuff to go over, like the Nets clinching the 2nd seed in their win against the Cavs. If they're healthy, we all know what they can do, so we don't even have to say anything. It's kind of scary if they're healthy. But I mean, the Bucks are the 3rd seed, and if you listen to what I said, Knicks are the 4th seed, Hawks are the 5th seed. Just said the Bucks are the 3rd seed. So that means the Miami Heat are the 6th seed.
I know that brings music to your ears.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful. as a Knicks fan and also as just an NBA fan because this is a rematch from last year in a very disappointing end to the Bucks season. And we get to see how much they either improved or how much they didn't.
Yeah.
But
hey man, look, you were panicking for your Knicks. Jimmy wanted that challenge, got what he wanted. Let's get it.
But yeah, let's not go in too much detail about that game. Yeah, and also with the Hornets loss, they dropped from the 8th to the 10th seed. The Pacers won their game against the Raptors, so the Pacers are the 9th seed. All right. Before I get into the playoff matchups and the play-in matchups, a little bit, let's talk about yesterday's podcast. I mentioned 2021 Hall of Fame class. I meant 2020 Hall of Fame class. Made that mistake because yesterday, the 2021 Hall of Fame class was announced. And who is in that Hall of Fame class? Well, let's see who's in that Hall of Fame class. Paul Pierce, NBA champion, the truth, one of the clutchest players, one of the best players of the 2000s. We all know what he can do. He's just an absolute great player for that Boston Celtics franchise. Chris Bosh, one of the most underrated players of all time, having sacrificed so much going to Miami and winning those chips with Bron and Wade. And he was a star in Toronto for those years, his early years of his career. Chris Webber, finally Chris Webber into the Hall of Fame. It's been years. He should have been in earlier. Injuries kind of cut his career short, but what he did in that decade span for the Sacramento Kings, and for I guess for the Bullets, I guess, but more for the Sacramento Kings when they were actually the Sacramento Kings. You know, leading them to playoffs after playoffs, being their best player, being their leader, you know, dominating, going up against the Giants like Shaq, Tim Duncan, Dirk, KG. And I mean, unfortunately, Tim Donaghy has some other plans, but can't rig this one. Chris Webber's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, well overdue.
Yes. Also in the Hall of Fame, Ben Wallace, one of the best defensive players of all time. I mean, you try to just step in the paint, you get blocked. I mean, it was just ridiculous in the 2000s, being that key piece to the Detroit Pistons 2004 championship when they were actually good for those years, leading them to the finals, or not, he wasn't leading them, but he'd been an integral part to that team, going to the finals, going to East Conference finals. I mean, really, he's one of the best defensive players of all time.
Exactly.
And he was undersized and undrafted.
Yes.
So, there you go. Also, Also, coaches, Bill Russell was obviously in the Hall of Fame, but as a coach, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Jay Wright and Rick Adelman will be in the Hall of Fame, going as the coaches class. And for the WNBA, Yolanda Griffith and Lauren Jackson going into the Hall of Fame.
You just named two greats. Yolanda Griffith, one of the best, like, you talk about big men, we got to talk about big women. She was one of the most talented two-way big women in that game for sure. She her defensive presence, her footwork on the low block, man, she was lethal for the Sacramento Monarchs. She was lethal. And Lauren Jackson is in her. It's like, okay, I wouldn't say a class of her own, but she's legendary. Put Seattle on the map in terms of the women's game. You want to talk about Sue Bird, her running mate was Lauren Jackson. And LJ was a scoring machine. Lauren Jackson. Australian, by the way. Aussie.
You need, man. You need your own, what you call it.
Now I'm good. No, thank you.
You need your own segments of the WNBA. You know so much about them.
I know enough. I don't know a lot. I know enough.
You just know enough. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's class of 2021, legendary class. You know, congratulations to all the guys in there. I mean, just greatness being enshrined. So congratulations to them. All right, now out the way, the official playoff standings, playoff matchups, and playing matchups. Let's get into it. All right, starting with the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference, they are the number 1 seed. They will battle the 8th seed, which will be the winner of the loser between the Lakers and the Warriors, and the winner of the Grizzlies and the Spurs. That will be the 8th seed. The Suns are the 2nd seed. They will face the winner of the Warriors and the Lakers. Sorry, Phoenix. That's gonna be tough either way. But the Nuggets are the 3rd seed. They will battle and host the Blazers, the 6th seed. The Clippers and the Mavericks will have a rematch from last year's first round, which the Clippers won in 6. Should be a good matchup.
Forget that match. So talk about the 50-point blowout.
that too. And yeah, that's how it'll be. The play-in, as we mentioned, Western Conference, the Lakers and the Warriors will be the 7th, 8th seed. Whoever wins that game, will, like I said, will be the 7th seed. The loser, however, will face the winner of the Grizzlies and the Spurs game, the 9th and the 10th. And the winner of that game will go on to face the Jazz. That is the Western Conference. Let's go to the Eastern Conference. The Philadelphia 76ers are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And going to the play-in game, the Celtics are the 7th seed. The Wizards are the 8th seed. The loser of that game will face the winner of the Pacers and the Hornets game. The Pacers will have home court in that game, as they are the 9th seed. And whoever wins that game will go on to the 8th seed. The 2nd seed, the Brooklyn Nets, which will be the winner of the Celtics and the Wizards, will face the Brooklyn Nets in that first round. Wow. The 3rd seed, the Milwaukee Bucks, in a rematch from last year's second round, in which a shocking upset, Milwaukee Bucks going out in 5 against the eventual Eastern Conference champions of last year, the Miami Heat. Big rematch. We'll see what happens. We'll see the improvements and all that. Yeah. The 4th and the 5th matchup, of course, as I mentioned, the New York Knicks going up against the Atlanta Hawks. Should be an entertaining matchup between both of those teams. And yeah, that is the play-in and the playoff standings. But now we'll revisit them 1 week, about 5 days time. Friday, right? Or Saturday podcast. We'll see which one it is to see who won those playing games and who are the 7th and the 8th seed for both respective conferences.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're here. It's playing now. Anybody wanting our predictions for playing, that will not be this podcast, as this podcast is already long.
Yeah.
And plus, we got to do the playing justice and go a little bit more in depth with our predictions and the teams. So that will be tomorrow's podcast. Tomorrow's podcast will all be playing predictions.
Yeah.
No playoff predictions, just playing predictions.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Ja, any thoughts? Any thoughts?
Well, I got no thoughts. We here. I really wish I got to see that Cancun matchup.
Oh my god! You got to see the 51-point blowout matchup.
Nah, it's no fun. It's no fun.
Come
Like,
on, man. Have some fun. Have some fun. If you're not excited about that, be excited about the Bucks and the Heat. That's
but
an
look,
exciting matchup.
well, I want to hear Dame say you boys are chumps running away from the ground. Like I wouldn't even want
Well,
to
you
think.
could say that to Jokic. I guess.
Well, Jokic is never running away from the grind.
No, but he might be running away with that MVP trophy. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But hey, listen, this will be an exciting playoffs. This really will. I mean, we have the defending champions of the seventh seed. They might not even make it to the playoffs.
They might not because of this whole playing situation. But
Mm-hmm.
I swear, if they were, in my opinion, they'll be the 21st century 1995 Houston Rockets.
Yep. For anybody who doesn't know about that team, Houston Rockets were the sixth seed and won the NBA championship, being the lowest seed to ever win the NBA championship.
Yep.
Hey, coached by Rudy Jamjanovic. Jamjanovic, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rudy Jamjanovic. Who is Hall of Famer officially now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this will be exciting. This is the playoffs, baby. This can't get any more exciting than this. I mean,
Exactly.
finally, it might not be full capacity, but fans in the arena, at least to some extent, that playoff atmosphere is different. Playoff atmosphere is different. You gotta hear them when you watch the game. It feels different.
Yeah.
It's like this is a big game.
Yeah.
This is what matters. This is where it's at. So get
Everything.
excited. Get excited. Get excited for this playoffs and get excited for this playing games for this week. Because you might see some unexpected, shocking results. It's only one game. It's only one game. All right. Anything else, Ja?
Including playoffs or not playoffs?
Doesn't matter, but could be playoffs.
How does a dude get no badges in 2K and make it to the Hall of Fame? Somebody tell me that, please. How did Chris Bosh have no badges in 2K14?
Okay, well, I'm not Ronnie. I can't answer that.
Well, Ronnie's stupid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people watching this right now might not know what we're talking about. So, anything regarding the playoffs.
Anything regarding the playoffs, hey, keep fighting, y'all. Yeah. Here, now it's time for you guys to separate yourselves. That's all.
That's right. This is what separates best from the okay, or the best from the good. Rather say, because it's playoffs. There's no okay teams. They're all good. Yeah. Be excited. Be excited for these playoff and play-in matchups. Like I said, play-in predictions from us tomorrow's podcast. So be there. With that being said, thank you guys for watching today's podcast. Make sure tomorrow's big play-in prediction podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, give us feedback, support the channel, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Also, follow IG and TikTok down in the description below.
Yes. Once again, I'm Evan.
Ja.
This is the Mind of Basketball podcast.